The first hour shapes the day. How do you begin your day? With rushing, noise, and distraction, or with clarity, strength, and calm? The Stoics believed that the first hour of the morning sets the tone for everything that follows. Win the morning, and you win the day. Lose it, and the whole day slips away. Welcome back to Stoic Wellspring. Today, I will share a Stoic morning routine. Simple practices to help you rise with purpose, steadiness, and freedom. Morning as philosophy. The Stoics did not treat the morning as ordinary. They saw it as the foundation of character, the testing ground where intention becomes action. While most people stumble into the day distracted and reactive, the Stoics entered the day awake, alert, and aligned with their values. Seneca once wrote in his letters to Lucilius, "Each day is a life in miniature. He who begins the morning well has already gained a great advantage." A morning, then, is not just the start of time, it is the start of virtue. In this video, we will explore 8 Stoic practices to begin the day with clarity and strength. These are not complicated hacks or productivity tricks. They are disciplines of the mind and body that help you step into the day unshaken, no matter what storms may come. Before we begin, if you find value in walking this Stoic path, consider subscribing to Stoic Wellspring. Each subscription is a spark of motivation that keeps this work alive. Now, let us begin with the first practice. Rise with awareness. The first practice is to wake, not drift. To begin the day fully aware that life itself has been given again. The Stoic morning begins the moment you open your eyes. Do you wake reluctantly, pulled into the day by obligation? Or do you rise with awareness, recognizing that waking itself is a gift? Marcus Aurelius once wrote in his Meditations, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." For him, waking was not routine but reverence, a reminder that death did not claim him in the night, and that life had granted another chance. History teaches us that this perspective changes everything. Soldiers in war, monks in monasteries, survivors of illness, all testify that waking up is never guaranteed. And those who live with this awareness rise differently, not with boredom, but with gratitude and resolve. In modern practice, this can be as simple as pausing before you leave your bed. Take a breath. Whisper to yourself, "I have been given this day. How will I use it?" This single moment of conscious awakening shifts the entire tone of the morning, from drifting into tasks to stepping into purpose. The Stoic morning begins not with coffee or screens, but with awareness. Awareness that today is yours to live, and once lived, will never return. Part 2. Reflection before action. The second practice is to pause and reflect before the noise of the world enters. The Stoic morning is not rushed into motion. Before you check messages, before you scroll through screens, the discipline is to sit with yourself. Reflection first, action later. Marcus Aurelius began many mornings by writing in his meditations notes to himself, reminders of what he would face and how he must conduct his mind. He prepared his spirit as a warrior sharpens his blade, knowing that the battle of the day would begin as soon as he stepped into it. Seneca also urged reflection in his letters to Lucilius. He who spends time with himself never lacks company. The morning, then, is not a void to be filled with noise, but a temple for thought. History is rich with this practice. The great generals of Rome would study maps before dawn, not because the battle had already come, but to prepare their minds for what was to unfold. In monasteries, monks rise before sunrise, not to rush, but to dwell in silence, anchoring themselves before engaging the world. In modern practice, this could be journaling for 5 minutes, writing down what you fear, what you aim for, and what you will not allow to shake you. It could be sitting quietly with your breath, asking, "What kind of person will I be today?" The Stoic morning is not measured by how quickly you get moving, but by how clearly you align yourself before you move. Reflection is the compass. Without it, speed only takes you further off course. Part 3. Setting intentions. The third practice is intention. Decide who you will be before the world decides for you. The Stoic morning is not left to chance. Before the world pulls you in every direction, you choose your direction. This is the practice of intention, not a rigid plan for events, but a clear stance for the soul. Marcus Aurelius once prepared himself in meditations. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, "Today I will meet the busybody, the ungrateful, the arrogant, the deceitful, the envious, the unsocial. Yet they are like this because they do not know good from evil. But I, who have seen the nature of good, will not be harmed. He did not expect the world to be gentle, but he armed his mind with intention. History is full of leaders who set their intentions before battle. The Spartans, before combat, reminded each other not only of victory, but of courage, discipline, and honor, values that guided their actions, no matter the outcome. In modern life, intention is your anchor. Without it, you drift into reactivity, swayed by moods, headlines, and other people's tempers. With it, you remain steady. Setting intention can be as simple as writing a single line. Today, I will practice patience. Or, today, I will not be shaken by anger. The Stoic morning does not begin with what you will do, but with who you will be. Once you know this, every action flows in harmony with your character. Part 4. Physical grounding. The fourth practice is grounding. Strengthen the body to steady the mind. For the Stoics, the body was not an ornament, but an instrument, the vessel through which reason acts in the world. To neglect it is to weaken the very foundation of discipline. The morning, therefore, was a time to ground themselves physically, preparing body and mind together. Epictetus reminded his students in the Discourses, "Difficulties show what men are." He urged them to seek not luxury, but training. For if the body is soft, the spirit falters. But if the body is strong, the mind finds a firmer seat. History illustrates this truth. Roman soldiers began their days with drills, marching, lifting, sparring, not merely for war, but to cultivate endurance and resilience. Even philosophers like Musonius Rufus praised simple physical exercise as a moral duty, for it hardened the vessel of reason. In modern life, physical grounding need not be extreme. A short run, stretching, push-ups, or simply a walk in the morning sun is enough. The act is not vanity, but alignment, reminding yourself that discipline is lived in flesh, not only in thought. Notice how different the day feels after movement. The sluggish mind clears. The restless spirit steadies. The body and soul walk together into the challenges ahead. The Stoic morning grounds itself here. A body strengthened not for pride, but for presence. Part 5. Practicing gratitude. The fifth practice is gratitude. To begin the day by seeing what is already enough. The Stoic morning does not rush into demands. It begins with recognition. Gratitude is not sentimental decoration, but the discipline of seeing reality without greed. To wake, to breathe, to have food, to have work, to have even one friend. These are fortunes vast enough to humble emperors. Seneca once wrote in his letters to Lucilius, "He is most powerful who has power over himself, and he has power over himself who is content with what he has." Gratitude, then, is not weakness, but strength, the inner wealth that cannot be stolen. History testifies to this. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire, surrounded by betrayal and plague, still paused each morning to remind himself of the blessings present. The chance to think, to act justly, to serve. Gratitude did not blind him to hardship, but gave him courage to meet it. Modern life makes this practice urgent. Surrounded by comparison and constant advertising, we are trained to believe we lack. Gratitude breaks the spell. Writing down 3 things each morning, no matter how small, shifts the mind from scarcity to sufficiency. A warm cup of tea, the voice of a loved one, the sunrise itself, each can become a pillar for the day. The Stoic morning teaches that gratitude is not about denying pain, but about refusing to let desire poison joy. Begin the day with thanks, and you begin it free. Part 6. Negative visualization. The sixth practice is visualization. Prepare the mind by imagining loss, challenge, and change. The Stoics did not begin the day with blind optimism. They began with preparation. This practice, called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, is not pessimism, but training. By picturing what could go wrong, you rob misfortune of its surprise. Seneca once reminded Lucilius in his letters, "He robs present ills of their power, who has seen their coming beforehand." When the blow arrives, it stings less, for you have already met it in thought. History is full of this wisdom. Roman generals studied not only paths to victory, but also possible ambushes, starvation, betrayal. They survived because they prepared. In modern times, athletes rehearse failure, missing a shot, falling behind, so that when it happens in competition, their composure remains. Pilots train for engine failure not because they want it, but because expecting it keeps them alive. Applied to daily life, negative visualization might mean imagining the meeting going badly, the friend canceling plans, the market falling. You do not despair over these things. You simply remind yourself they are possible. And in reminding yourself, you soften the sting if they occur and sharpen your gratitude when they do not. The Stoic morning, then, is not fragile. It is armored, not by illusions of perfect days, but by readiness for imperfect ones. Part 7. Reading and Study. The seventh practice is nourishment of the mind. Begin the day by feeding wisdom, not noise. For the Stoics, the morning was a sacred hour for study. They knew that the mind, like the body, needs training. What you feed it at dawn shapes how it moves through the day. Fill it with gossip, distraction, or triviality, and it will scatter. Fill it with wisdom, and it will stand firm. Epictetus once told his students in the Discourses, "You become what you give your attention to." Attention is food for the soul. To begin the day with philosophy, with history, with reflection, is to set a steady tone before the noise of the world invades. History confirms this. Marcus Aurelius read philosophy even as emperor, often copying passages into his journal at dawn, reminding himself of duty, mortality, and virtue. Centuries later, leaders, scientists, and writers have all testified that their mornings of study anchored their greatest work. In practice today, this may mean reading a page of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, or Seneca. It may mean reflecting on a poem, or even reviewing your own journal entries. What matters is not quantity, but direction. A single paragraph of wisdom can outweigh hours of distraction. The Stoic morning does not begin by consuming the world's noise, but by choosing what will guide the soul. By feeding the mind wisely at dawn, you choose steadiness over scattering, depth over distraction. Part 8. Contemplating Mortality. The eighth practice is mortality meditation. To remember that the day you have begun may also be your last. The Stoic morning ends where life itself may end, with the remembrance of death. This is not morbid obsession, but clarity. To begin the day with memento mori is to strip away illusion and sharpen purpose. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself in his meditations, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." This was no dark fantasy, but a call to live urgently, wisely, and fully. History confirms the power of this practice. Roman generals would whisper memento mori during triumphal processions, reminding themselves that glory fades and death levels all. Samurai warriors meditated on their death each morning, believing that readiness for death freed them from fear in life. In our modern lives, contemplating mortality may mean pausing at dawn to recognize this sunrise is not guaranteed again. The faces you see, the tasks you choose, the words you speak, each may be your last. Rather than despair, this recognition awakens gratitude, focus, and gentleness. The Stoic Morning Routine closes here, with mortality not as an enemy, but as a teacher. To remember death is to remember life, to walk into the day lighter, freer, more present, because nothing is taken for granted. Pause now. Let the rush of the world wait. Ask yourself, how did I begin my morning today? Did I stumble into noise and hurry? Or did I rise with awareness, gratitude, and purpose? What weight could I lay down if I remembered that even this day is not promised again? Let the silence answer. 8 practices: awareness, reflection, intention, grounding, gratitude, visualization, study, and mortality. Together, they form a Stoic morning routine, not a checklist of tasks, but a way of beginning the day in alignment with virtue. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself in his meditations, "Each day provides its own gifts." The morning, then, is not to be wasted in distraction, but welcomed as the moment to receive those gifts with clarity and strength. If this reflection gave you direction for your own mornings, share it with someone who begins their days in hurry and noise. Thank you for walking with me all the way to the end of this reflection. Your time and presence here mean more than words can say. If these Stoic mornings bring you strength, I invite you to subscribe to Stoic Wellspring. Your support gives me the strength to keep creating, to bring more reflections, more clarity, and more freedom to serve you. Be well, be still, be free.